What's a SCO, mofo? Hey! Shabbat shalom! Friday! I just got off work. I haven't fallen ill. I'm just like ragged from a very warm and humid evening running around a warehouse that has become a restaurant. And it was like the perfect amount of busyness. We had like a gradual incline into like our busy time, and then a gradual decline. So it was like we got a nice little warm up, and then like we got really busy there for like a couple of hours, and then just about the time when you're like, oh, my back's starting to hurt, like I'm really like losing steam, I'm like burning out, you turn around and you're like, we're done with reservations for the night, and it's like, yeah, we made it. Oh, we made it, yay. So I am here now, and we're here doing our video together, and after this I'm gonna water my garden and check out everything out there. I'm growing some tomatoes. They're little, they're green, but they'll be coming in shortly. And then I ended up getting like 3 fairly large zucchinis from my one big zucchini plant, and there's probably more to come. And then there's another one growing I planted afterwards. And I got a lot of cucumbers coming in, but they are coming in a little slower. And yeah, some of my flowers are blooming, some more of them. So very exciting. It's just so worth gardening. And I haven't really had to do a lot of weeding this year at all. Like once I weeded everything in the beginning and then, you know, mixed in more like fresh dirt and stuff, it's like the weeds didn't come back. I guess I just waited till that perfect moment when all the trees were done doing their thing. But yeah, so that's been very gratifying through the summer, and having all my fresh herbs and everything and cooking with them. So yeah, but that's not really why we're here. We're here for our weekend reading, and I'm loving our messages. It's like we picked up right where we left off, and I feel like we are always in like this continuing story that's unfolding. And I found it very interesting because I felt like the podcast that I listened to when I was getting ready for work today really matched the reading. And the podcast was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rob Bell. He used to be a pastor and left the church because he wanted to be a writer and a speaker and just do more than be at a church. And running a church is a lot like having a small business. I mean, you're constantly in like meetings and things and like going and taking care of people and visiting people and taking care of your congregation. So it's a very different calling than writing and speaking. And so he does that now. But some of his podcasts, he's just talking about whatever is relevant in the moment. And then sometimes he has sermons, which are really, really great. And then sometimes he does interviews with like super cool, interesting, smart people. And today he was talking with one of his friends. She's got a master's degree in storytelling. And she was talking about the archetypal heroine's journey. And she is explaining in the podcast how there's the hero's journey, but then like that Joseph Campbell, you know, talked about and wrote about and taught about. But then like there's this whole other journey going on within every story too, and it's the heroine's journey. And basically what it's the difference is it's like the divine masculine journey is represented by the hero in these metaphors. And this is a metaphor for our outer experience in life and the outer adventures and feats and goals that we take on. But during every, you know, like pretend life is a movie, during every movie's, you know, main plot, there's a subplot about what's going on inside the character, the internal adventure and call to, you know, adventure and growth and challenge. And so the inner journey is the divine feminine paradigm, and so that is played out in the heroine's journey. And so I only got partially, I think we were barely past the intro, and it was already like so amazing. And then I had to start work, so I haven't finished it yet. But I felt like it really lined up with today, because I feel like today is speaking about how interrelated our inner journey and our outer journeys are. you know, the outer journey is a reflection of what's going on inside of us. And what's going on inside is like symbolically representative of the outside, you know, and whatever's happening inside will be manifested on our outside. So if we have frustration and anger, chaos going on inside, we're unsettled, we're anxious, you know, we're gonna have a turbulent experience in life, and we're going to have a lot of chaotic situations, and we're probably going to be running late a lot, and we're going to have very frustrating interactions and things like that. But if we have a lot of inner peace and stability going on in the inside and harmony, it's like we'll find the flow with the cosmos, and things just start opening up and flowing so much easier with greater ease and resonance. And so, yeah, there's always an inner and an outer journey going on. And it's so many times we get focused on, you know, what we want our lives to be like on the outside and what we want to happen and what we want to have. But what we're really looking for is the inner fulfillment that we think that those things on the outside are going to bring us. And then we discover after we get those things that they don't really bring us that fulfillment, or they do, but it's like fleeting, it's not permanent. And there's a deeper fulfillment that we can cultivate, and it's sustainable. And it's not really reliant on, you know, material effects, right? We don't need something to happen to cause us to feel that way anymore. It's like it's generating from the inside. And so that's part of the heroine's journey. But the whole point of, you know, inner growth, we think it's so that we can fix our outer lives, and so that we can be more abundant and like more productive and, you know, have more power and prestige. But really, we need to fix our outer lives so that we can have more inner peace. But we need to cultivate that inner peace and that inner grace and compassion and forgiveness and that inner landscape, so that our lives on the outside can be fulfilling. So it starts out on the inside first. Really, that's where all the work is. And once we do all of that inner work, I mean, not all of it, it's an ongoing process, but once we really start tackling it and that starts making a difference on the inside, our outside life will start changing too. You can try as hard as you can to change your outside life, like your mundane, day-to-day physical material world that you can see, feel, and touch, and that you're participating in. And you might be able to, through willpower and force, keep it maintained to some degree, but it's not going to be sustainable unless you're in vibrational resonance with that. Like you can sustain without short-circuiting. You have the self-worth, you have the self-mastery, you have the self-control to like keep the shit together and not sabotage, you know what I mean? So it starts with the inside, and then it affects the outside. And we can try to force the outside, but it'll eventually self-correct, and we will short circuit, or we will fall out of resonance if we're not aligned with the inside too, if the inside isn't healthy and growing. Okay, so for the weekend, we pulled, for starters, Ace of Pentacles, followed by the Strength card, then followed by Four of Pentacles, and then finished with the Six of Wands. And so this is what I'm getting from this message, is that we have planted seeds successfully, and we are still planting seeds that will grow and will create roots. And this is creating a lot of strength within us. The seeds that we've been planting in our personal development are actually starting to make a difference in our world, in the way that we experience it, in the way that we can handle and cope with it and thrive in it, right? And so that makes a difference in the way that we make our choices, in the way that we take actions, in the way that we show up, and the way that we proactively handle things rather than be reactive victims of cause and effect, right? We want to be the cause and not the effect, to have more affinity with the creator, right? So we are developing deep and abiding strength, and we have planted the seeds of strength, and it's beginning to grow and it's beginning to show. And this is a gentle kind of strength. It's not the kind of strength where we need to go out boisterous in the world and like, you know, make them hear us out and let me show you how it is and tell you something and, you know, like power to the people and everyone. But, you know, we don't have to be, how am I trying to say it? Like, super like masculine energy. Like I'm not like not aggressive. I mean, obviously we don't want to be aggressive and pushy, but we can be bold and dynamic while still being kind and gentle and allowing the space there for others without being brash or too harsh or too abrasive, right? So we don't want to force other people, and we don't want to manipulate, but we do want to have influence with people. And that usually comes from being gentle and learning to win their trust through being soft-hearted and vulnerable and genuine and authentic, and letting other people be that in your presence as well. And then people can trust you, right? And then they feel like you have their best interests at heart, you know, or that you don't have an agenda that you're pushing them towards, right? And then you have more, you know, sway over people or more influence in a positive way, right? So all of this strength and the seeds that we've planted are really resulting in solid foundations and stability. Sometimes the Four of Pentacles can warn us about being overly controlling, but I feel that in the context of this reading, because of the surrounding cards, it's really talking about having a hold of our life and like having our shit together and under control. We don't want to be too lavish or too miserly just as far as like spending and earning goes, and saving, but we just want to keep a nice balance going. But I think that the gift here in the seeds planted that are growing strength is that we are actually growing what I consider to be one of the most valuable fruits of the Spirit when we talk about like the Judeo-Christian Abrahamic fruits of the Spirit. One of them is self-control. It's like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, forgiveness, and self-control. I think that's the ones. I feel like gratitude should be in there. I don't know, but self-control is definitely one. And I feel that it's one of the most important, because without the self-control, without the self-mastery, the other ones kind of go out the window too. You know, if we have self-control, then that means that whatever life is throwing at us in the moment, we can pause, take a step back and observe, and choose proactively like how we want to align with our higher self and move forward, you know, instead of being reactive and snapping on the person, or instead of being reactive and selling the stocks off or buying a bunch of the stocks, or, oh, everything's slow, I gotta go get a new job, you know, like don't do anything rash, just be calm and observe and choose proactively how your inner guidance is steering you, right? So self-control, it allows you also to consider the consequences of your actions before you take them. It allows you time to consider how other people may maybe feel in a situation, or to try to imagine it from, you know, the position of being in someone else's shoes. So there's so much in life that self-control can open up just beyond like the obvious things that we think of, like being able to, you know, stop drinking when you know you're pushing your limit, or stop eating before you're sick. You know, self-control goes into so much more emotionally that affects us so much, you know, that we don't even think about. Like, think about Have you ever dress rehearsed these arguments that you have with people that never happened, and you're like getting like all worked up and angry over a conversation that this person has never even been guilty of having with you, and you hurt your own feelings and you're mad at them and they didn't even do anything, right? Self-control can help you say, okay, I'm being insane. No one's here to argue with. So I'm being a nut and I need to take a step back. And if I need to have this conversation, then I need to have it with the person when I'm not triggered and emotional. But don't get yourself worked up about something that's not even happening, because you don't want to start manifesting that stuff either, right? If we want to be powerful manifestors, we have to be self-mastered and in self-control, because we don't want to be manifesting chaos and negativity either in self-fulfilling prophecies, right? So with all this self-control and with all these prudent actions that we're taking, and with like our, conservative saving and spending balance there, and just the balancing of our inner world with our outer world, all of this inner work is really starting to show and bear fruit. And so our outer world is starting to reflect that too. And we're riding into victory because we're beginning to see that things are growing. Things are growing in all the areas of our life that we kind of set out to evolve this year, little by little. It feels like it's gone so slow, but I feel like suddenly it will be like all of a sudden there's going to be a lot of movement and momentum. When I think back to the playlist that I made for the 2022 predictions, I did like a month by month. And I do remember like during the summer, there was like these lulls in the messages, and it kept talking about like being in the forest and being kind of surrounded and not having your bearings and not knowing exactly where you are. And that's so where we are right now. And then I remembered saying something about how progress would start as like a drip, and then it would turn into a trickle, and then it would be more and more and more. And so I feel like we're in that kind of pause in action for this like middle point of the year right now. But like before we know it, things are really going to take off. So do use this time to do that inner work that's going to give you so much momentum later. But I really think that victory is imminent. I think that our physical goals are going to start coming into fruition, but I think that we're starting to also feel like different people, like new people, and we're starting to have a different experience of life that we've never had because our perspective is different. Our perceptions are different. We're reading life through a different hermeneutic lens than we've ever had. And so things feel different. We think differently about things. We feel differently about things, and things are going well. Things are really starting to go well for everyone. I feel like there was another point that I was going to add. I got a new tarot deck the other day, and I was reading in the booklet some of the extra notes that author had included. And I loved that she was breaking down the numerology of the cards, and I found that to be really interesting because she was talking about the 3 is like the first level of completion within a grand cycle. And it's true, because when we get the 3 of Wands or the 3 of Cups or the 3 of Pentacles, it's like we've had some initial success, but there's like still challenges to come. It's like, no, it's not that easy. Like we haven't arrived yet. Like we're not done. It's just like the initial like encouragement that the universe gives you before it's like, all right, now I'm gonna like make you work really hard for it again. So I feel like recently we've gone through the 3s of having that first initial pop, and then saying that like, okay, this was just like a phenom. We're still working, we're still growing, still putting the effort in. The 6 of Wands is the second completion before the final completion, right? So the second completion is, I would say, you're making progress, but it's the kind of progress that you can kind of keep building on, right? So I feel like we're sort of getting into that season right now, where we're galloping slowly, taking our time in our cute little leopard print jacket into our second victory, our second completion. Yeah, so I covered that, the second completion, the physical and the inner realms. Yeah, and I mean, I guess like the major arcana talk about our spiritual growth and our soul growth, and so we really are building great and deep spiritual strength through all of this. But I do feel like that it is resulting also in really sturdy foundations and solid security and physical strength, and sustainability in our lives too. So really good things, guys. I feel good for us. I'm happy. I'm excited. I feel like there's something like kind of circling us right now, and it's good and it's exciting, and I feel something's close. So it'll be exciting to hear what's going on with everybody. I'm insane. I'm becoming tired and I'm loopy, and I'm about to start going into loops and like repeating myself. I'm gonna go water my garden so all of my work from the whole summer doesn't shrivel up and die. I get my cucumbers. All right, you guys. Good night. Good day, whatever you're doing out there. Ta-ta.